you so creamy today?
What does that mean? Why am I creamy? That's a disturbing thing to say about somebody.
I made it up.
Nobody wants to be called creamy.
You know why you're creamy today?
Why am I creamy?
You're so creamy today because you're in an odd good mood. Well, sometimes you're in a good mood. On a Sunday night, usually, you're either suicidal or in a good mood.
I'm in a good mood.
No. Now I know you're in a good mood. That's what I've been saying.
Mm-hmm.
But there are other times. Okay, hold on.
I think because I've been eating too much McDonald's.
Yes, I apologize for their combined fatness. Alice and I are as a tag team, a record now.
This has been, like, the last few months have been absolutely insane. So there's been a lot of fast food coming into this house. I'm sorry, there just has. Like, you can't. It's been out of control, and I've been on a McDonald's kick.
McDonald's is no way to get fat, Alice. Taco Bell is the way to go to get fat. If you're gonna get fat, you gotta go to Taco Bell.
I'm a McDonald's girl.
Yeah,
I love McDonald's.
Bun,
That's my weakness is McDonald's.
Now we get to see our relatives in 4 days. I have to lose 130 pounds.
I don't care. I'll get unfat later, but right now, I need until like at least the end of April with the craziness that we have.
Wow, so we're clear for the end of April.
I'm clear.
That is beautiful.
I can't get skinny until after the end of April because I have too much going on.
Okay, here's the real reason Alice is so happy.
I think it's like good for the spirit to be like singing songs and doing stuff.
Hey,
and being a part of telling stories. I think that's
yes.
BFF, that stands for us. That.
This can't get any better. You're my best friend forever. BFF, that stands for us.
Can you turn me up? Stop singing.
It's a pretty song, and you were happy to see it. And that's a song that our son sang in a very great performance he had. It was his debut play, theatrical event, and he did a great job. And that song was really lovely. It's really a great song.
If you're not familiar with SpongeBob the Musical, all the music was written by like real artists.
Mm-hmm.
And then they orchestrated them all together to kind of sound cohesive. And I mean, the musical itself, like plot wise, it depends if you're into musicals or not.
Or if you're high. But I thought it was funny. I thought it was fun. Actually, it's funny you say it because I think it's the kind of musical that John Lennon would have liked. It's very wordplay heavy. It's frivolous. I liked it. I thought it was smart. Yeah, but I've never been a SpongeBob guy. I've never known anything.
But it was fun. I mean, the kids obviously enjoyed it. A lot of the music was very difficult to sing. I worked with our son on it a lot before the show. And the SpongeBob musical, even though obviously SpongeBob is for kids, the SpongeBob musical, all the music is written by real artists and is very ambitious vocally for elementary schoolers to sing, I have to say. You know, some of the songs came out better than others, but all in all, I would say it was a victory for the kids of the elementary school that they pulled it off because that music, a lot of it was very tough to sing. But it was really fun. And I understand that the musical theater world is full of some of the absolute most extreme cases of some of the stuff that we talk about on here and the DEI and the pushing crazy stuff on kids and whatever. But I just think music is such a positive influence, and that getting out there and being able to act in front of people and do things in front of people and perform singing and this stuff it's a very difficult thing, and it takes a lot of hard work and skill. And I think it's so good for kids to be immersed in music and to have to work hard and do these performances. It's highly demanding. And I think, like I was kind of saying to you before the show starts too, that I think theater in particular is one of the most ancient human activities, and people singing and acting out stories to each other is something people have been doing for an extremely long time, thousands of years,
Sure.
And there's a reason for that. And it's because people are, I suppose you could think of human beings as like meaning makers. You know, we take all this stuff that we observe in the environment and we feel the need to like tell stories about it and draw meaning out of it and think about it and what it means and why it's happening and what it means for us and what we are as people. And like, this is all stuff that we do through storytelling, and performance in particular as a form of storytelling is something that's been around an incredibly long time. I think it's very powerful, and I think it's powerful to participate in as well as like just to
I
watch.
completely agree. And I also think that the nervousness that you get, there's good nervousness, bad nervous. And I think the nervousness you get right before you're about to perform or give a speech or whatever that you're doing, or if you're going to do a big guest spot somewhere, I think that nervousness, even though it can be petrifying and crippling, is good nervousness. The nervousness before you're singing in front of somebody or you have a recital is healthy and good nervousness. It's still hellacious while you're standing there or before you do it, but it's good nervousness. Unlike like firing squad nervousness, that's bad nervousness. That doesn't come to any good end. That's no good. On death row nervousness, you have an hour to go. That's not good nervousness. And I also think it's the same way with stressful chaos in a hospital. There's bad stressful chaos. Your sibling or parent is flatlining and they're working on them desperately, and you're like, oh my God. And then there's good chaos when you're in there and you're having a child, and it's also chaos, but it's good chaos. And I think that those extremes are very important in life. Although all the good and bad of both of those are good to have to have had the wisdom of having them. Doesn't make you any younger quicker, and so with that, Alice, I hand it over to you.
You're done?
I am done.
The
only thing I have is Tim Walz.
Well, start with
it's not
Tim
the only
Walz.
thing I have. Okay, so this has to do with what we saw. Let's start from the very beginning because it's a very good place to start. Okay.
I get it.
What's the next line?
When you read, you begin with ABC.
Okay.
You sing, you begin with one do re mi.
So the tariff stuff is happening. Once again, I've listened and read so much stuff on tariffs now that I have no idea, and I don't think anybody has any idea what's going to happen. I don't think I don't think that the forecast of doomsday. I don't believe that. I don't believe that it's a tax hike of $700 billion. I don't believe that we're going to repatriate all of the manufacturing that we had it's going to be 1956 again in this country. I don't think it's the end of days. I think you can't predict Trump because he's unpredictable. So what emanates from Trump's mind and then through policy, you can't know. He had 4 different guys out there today saying 4 different things. And so you can't really know.
Well, and there's been a lot of debate. Oh, the tariffs are a negotiating tactic. Oh, they're not a negotiating tactic. We really want them. We don't really want them. We want people to come to the table. We don't want people to come to the table. We're still going to have tariffs. I tend to think that saying they're not a negotiating tactic is a negotiating tactic.
Correct.
Like, I mean, that's
Correct.
sort of the school of thought I fall into. So we'll see. But I mean, there's also been some indications from what he's been saying. People have been interpreting his remarks as saying he's deliberately crashing the economy to
do something with the Fed or something.
Yeah, I mean,
I also don't believe that. I don't believe anything that's out there. I don't think that there is a level of professional analysis that knows this. And as a matter of fact, the same cadre of people who told me everything, all the smartest people wisdom about COVID is now coming and telling me that Trump is turning the world order on its head, and that he's causing a recession, and that it's going to mean that guacamole is $50, and it's going to mean that more job loss. Like, I don't trust any of these people. These people just aren't that good at this. The people who are served to us are not that good at this. That's why I consider that wave of people, influencers, including all of the normal legacy media, the government expert class, and academia, I consider them all disqualified from analysis, which is why I'm listening to new people. So I've listened today to the All In podcast, which these are guys who were not pundits previously. These are tech finance bros kind of guys. These guys know Elon. They know the guy, Garcia, whatever his name is, who's been hanging with Elon. He had incredible insight into all sorts of Doge stuff and this and that. Anybody, I'm with anybody. I'm listening to all of the people with the COVID people are disqualified. All of the media was wrong and they lied. The politicians lied and they were wrong. The health institutions were lied and were wrong. They everything they did was wrong. The only thing that was right was before COVID started, Alice Shaddix got somehow scared into going super shopping, creating a survivalist food store in the bottom of our house, which actually we didn't totally need, but which we used because some stuff ran short. Other than that,
we had toilet paper.
Other than that, we talked about what COVID did to our lives, killing our income and doing like. We always have to remember that what COVID did was kill 1 million Americans or 2 million Americans. How many Americans they killed? That's what COVID did. But what government did is kill hundreds of thousands of Americans, destroy a generation of kids emotionally, destroy incomes and livelihoods, and shut down businesses. That's all government. COVID did its thing. So the lesson for me is that the next time a bunch of people tell me that since a disease is coming, it's best that you hide under the bed and shut down the world. So now you've got not only the disease killing who it's going to kill, but you've got businesses closing, screwing up kids, destroying livelihoods, destroying emotional well-being for... It's like, never again will I trust those people. We didn't really trust them last time either. Trust those people to tell me what to do anymore. And I remember I was on a conference call with a bunch of presidents of hospitals. So these are biggies, and having one guy, just a cantankerous guy, saying, "I think it's fine with the kids and the masks are just fine. And I don't want to hear it. The kids during the London Blitz, they had to have their classrooms in the tube underground, and they still did it. They did it, and they managed to do what they were supposed to do, and they were fine." And at the time, I thought, what an a-hole that is. But at the time, I thought, because people like him told us that COVID killed kids. Of course, it didn't do. COVID was not for kids. And so his whole parallel analogy does not work.
Well, yeah. So I think it's interesting because I think kids are resilient when you, as the adults in the room, help them face serious and scary things that are happening in ways where they have to make some sacrifices to like be safe or whatever during the Blitz and all this stuff. What I do think damages kids is being subject to the capricious whims of a psychotic bureaucratic class that is punishing them and frightening them for absolutely no reason whatsoever. Right?
Oh, yes.
When you teach your kids that because the psychotic, insane union teacher thinks that they're going to die if you breathe on them, they have to wear a mask all day for years in the public schools in Massachusetts. When you teach your kids that because some people are freaking nuts and because we're going to give those people power over you and your life and your day-to-day, you have to do what they say. Not because those people are smarter or have something to teach you or have something valuable to impart into you and that there's, that we're doing something as a team to like fight the Nazis and whatever. And I know liberals envision themselves today, speaking of like putting yourselves in a story and envisioning yourselves as part of a narrative, right? But what's damaging to kids is not the COVID or the scary stuff happening or the schools being closed. Like, kids can live through hardship.
Exactly.
Kids are tough, right? What damages kids is thinking that they live in a world of psychotic adults that they need to protect from stuff. Like, I personally know kids who cried and broke down thinking they were going to kill their parents because like their teachers and parents and everyone around them is telling them that they're going to kill them if they don't wear a mask. or if there's too many kids on the bus today,
Well,
or whatever. Like,
well, right,
that's
or
an
literally
insane-
kids witnessing their parents panic.
right.
You know, you're supposed to be that pillar of strength person,
Mhm.
and when you see mom's panicking, dad's afraid. He's literally afraid, and he's feeling fear. Well, then if he's feeling fear, I should certainly be feeling fear.
Right. So while I don't think it's damaging for kids to go through hard things, I do think, and like, yes, I'm kind of judging you if you did this to your kid a little bit. I'm judging you. But the parents who, when their kids got COVID, isolated their child in a separate room of the house away from everybody and like passed a tray of food into a crack in the door so that their kid wouldn't be near them, because you'll kill mom and dad if we like show you any love while you're homesick from school. That's an insane, that I think is weird and damaging. I'm sorry.
Well, yeah, and remember, those are NPR listeners, and they work in professional fields, and they work for biotech, and they work for other people, and they listen to people, their betters, tell them, the very credentialed people, that yes, guys, this is with the science. We're doing this because of the science. Remember, we're elites. We speak science. Remember those dumb people down there who are having a bike rally still? They're not doing the science.
And Mark says
and funny,
in
the
chat,
science then said 4 months later that you have to get out and do bike rallies for George Floyd. That's fine.
well, Mark says in the chat, the same psychotic union teachers tell kids climate change will incinerate them, which is exactly
Well, you're right,
it.
Mark.
This is, or that they're going to be killed in a school shooting, which
Well,
is
Alice,
also statistically obscene. But this is like why Catherine Clark's kid is, you know, trans and terrorizing people and fighting with cops, is because Catherine Clark's kid was told that they were going to be shot up in a movie theater from a young
Right.
age. Like, I mean, when you this stuff is damaging to kids.
Alice, they've installed Kansas dogs for damaged children in every school in this school district.
Right. Our school district owns 6 therapy dogs.
So yes, so just so if you have any doubt, kids, if damaging things are happening, well, if they weren't, we wouldn't have to have this pooch over here that you need to hug. I mean, that talk about a way to back into trauma.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you thought that you just had a good day today and you were thrilled because it was Nacho Day? No. Look over there. There's the dog, and he's looking at you, as a matter of fact.
Do you
know
need
why?
to pet him by any chance?
Yeah, he's looking at you because he knows that you're hurting. Just so all of you know, he would leave this room if you all weren't damaged during the day today. It's like, it's freaking incredible. It's incredible. And it's about, like you had, well, we had talked about, it's just all false narratives that people want. And that's a problem of, it's like a coping thing, and it's a problem with the adults too, who immediately needed to create a narrative out of COVID, and they needed to do it this time more desperately than anything else, because more than COVID, they hated Trump.
Well, and it's funny because you could see that happening initially too, and I know we've talked about this a bunch of times, but it takes time for the narrative to settle. So when things are moving very fast, sometimes people don't know what storyline they're supposed to be following. So coronavirus was like that at the start, right? Where Trump, and actually the story goes that Tucker went to Trump early in the COVID thing and said, this is a thing, like, you have to do something about this, and convinced him to shut down the flights from China and stuff, right?
Right.
And Trump did the travel ban for coronavirus from China and some affected places. And because Trump did that, they all said it was racist.
Exactly. And they scared all these boomers who are out there today.
And Trump said, why aren't we telling people to wear masks? Doctors wear masks. Why aren't we having people wear masks? And that was when they were like, no, people don't need masks. That's ridiculous. That's a false. And all the liberals I know who hate Trump were posting about how this was racist and this was not a concern, and you should go eat at Asian restaurants, and you should go celebrate Asian New Year in February and all this stuff. Because their narrative of the story was that Trump was ginning up fear about a fake virus to be racist against Asian people. Because remember, that fit into the like stop Asian hate narrative. And because in some inner cities, some black people were murdering Asian people, that somehow had to do with Trump's racism towards Asian people.
Oh, remember that great article we read saying that it was still white supremacy?
Right,
remember
of
that?
Course,
we
because
should
the
find
black people were affected by the white supremacy, right? So, But that was like the Stop Asian Hate, and it all like fit in with this narrative that they were telling that Trump was racist against Asian people, and that's why Asian people were being murdered in urban areas, and that's why, you know, Trump was shutting the border against China for coronavirus and all this stuff. And, you know, liberals went with that narrative until Trump switched what he was doing and said, like, we maybe shouldn't lock down anymore. We were done. And then they decided they were like the COVID crusaders.
Well, yes, and exactly, because also you had an authority father figure in Andrew Cuomo, and
a father figure that you also might want to sleep with.
Right.
Yes. In the case of all the moms I know.
He was being calm and soothing and talking to the American people. I think I tweeted positively about him at the beginning.
And maybe he had nipple rings, too.
And then and Trump was all over the place and kind of spastic when he was up there. And he did it, was mean when he did it. Anything Trump said had to be ivermectin. You can't say that. You can't say qualquilin, whatever that does. Anything Trump threw out there, any buzzword he threw out there, anybody who had come up with the original theory was banned.
But it's interesting, too, because even at that time, and once again, like about narratives that we tell ourselves, particularly about the past and things that happened and about Trump was going after Republican governors like Brian Kemp who were trying to reopen things initially. It wasn't until much, much later in 2020 that Trump became the true, like, anti-lockdown, anti-mask, anti-all this stuff, right? Early on, it was much more the Republican governors who were fighting to stay open and reopen things. And much more Trump. I mean, the Trump administration was telling them to shut down.
Right.
So people's narrative of this is truly actually like false and invented around COVID and what happened.
And it all had
COVID.
to do with, here's this guy. This is, you've probably seen this out. It's been out for a few days. This guy in his car, this guy epitomizes the person who was emotionally damaged by Trump. It's really emotionally damaged.
And Splash in the chat, Trump did expose the fragility of liberal minds to a pretty astounding degree. Absolutely.
You're about to hear one. This is recently, like a day or two. And this is really what they want. And this is what they really want to say to you. This is why all these people were out protesting this weekend. And why they're saying, okay, now it's the tariffs, which always was a big progressive thing. But
this was a liberal thing.
Right?
They all did
and
this.
Last week it was Doge. Before that it was the Signal app. And before they have found a reason. Really what they want to say to you is what this guy says. So this guy in a car you're about to hear got the finger from somebody. This guy's driving a Tesla or has a Trump sign, whatever. And so he pulls up next to the guy who gave him the finger and asks him about it.
We're able to be raised to help. Are you triggered? It's okay to be triggered. He's your president. Does it make you feel special to flip me off?
Guy's saying
it's okay. It's okay. It makes you special to flip me off because I like President Trump. It's okay. We all love you.
It makes me feel good to flick you off because I get to let go some of my anger about at people who have manipulated and lied to you to make you feel like you have voted for someone who is going to do something for you, when all he is going to do is continue to lie to you, he's going to continue to steal from you, and he is going to continue to make people dumber, less safe, and less healthy. So I feel sad for you. I feel bad for you that you were manipulated by Fox News and people like Tucker Carlson and these Sean Hannity and these fuckholes. So that's why I feel bad for you. So good luck, take care, and fuck you.
It's okay. Love you.
So that guy is the rule, not the exception. And you can tell when people say that they're damaged, and they always say that. You know, he doesn't really care about you. He's a billionaire. He doesn't really care. They're angry because they hate Trump because he represents something. Usually it's a class thing. He's stupid. He's inarticulate. You just overlay this with Trump's a Republican now. So, and then all these reasons, and that when they say that about you, he doesn't really care. It's this feeling. How dare you? Don't you understand? I'm enlightened. Why? If I'm enlightened, I have the right car. I listen to the right NPR stuff. I say all the right stuff. I have the right yard signs. why aren't you falling in line with what I have? And it's this fear that you believe something different, and that is there a chance I could actually be wrong? No.
Well, right, because this person has obviously fed themselves a whole narrative and a whole story about the type of people that voted for Trump.
Yes.
Oh, they don't know. They've been fed this pack of lies. They've been brainwashed by Fox News and Tucker Carlson. He believes all these lies. In meantime, Trump is stealing from them and lying to them. They just don't know. They're stupid, and they've been brainwashed by these psychos.
And as usual,
this guy
Alice,
has never met this person.
No.
And he has a raft of psychological
and he paid
input on what happened with this guy, why he voted for Trump.
And he paid the verbal deposit down. He put some money down, the good person deposit down, by saying, I feel bad for you.
Yeah.
I'm doing this because I'm doing it for you.
I feel that you're being lied to and stolen from.
I feel bad for you.
This isn't my psychological issue.
Right, and I feel sad for you. Now that those are out of the way, fuck you.
I'm giving you the finger because I care.
Right, which is exactly what everybody on Facebook is doing as well. Like the latest thing I saw today was amazing, that they're going to have a review of the immigration policy that we're doing in 70 days to see if it's effective. And like somebody was making a thing out of that. A review? I think that's not one of even the big things. But it's just another thing.
I like that they're demanding we bring back the MS-13 guy from Maryland.
Siggy Barber, or is this the...
No, this is the one, the Maryland father who's been here illegally for like 10 years or something and was told to go back. And the only reason he wasn't deported was because he said he was like going to be in trouble in the country he was going to go back to because they accused him of being a gang member too, weirdly. So he applied for like asylum on the basis. He didn't get asylum, but his like deportation was stayed or whatever for that reason. So it's just because they deported him to like an incorrect country with bad paperwork that he's not there. But he's suspected of being an MS-13 member, and he's here illegally.
We want him back.
Nobody has ever suggested that this guy was here legally in any way, shape, or form. He was here legally. They think he's an MS-13 member, and the only reason he wasn't sent back is because his country of origin would throw him in jail if he went back there.
Right.
Like, what? Why do we have to... Like, you're going to die on that freaking hill? But once again, stories. Maryland father, just deported, just grabbed and sent away. Like, everything is like this, right? But that's the stories that they're telling about this stuff. Tufts student grabbed off the streets and shoved into a van, sent away. We don't have to import people to our country who hate being here. Like, we just don't have to. Like, if you don't want to be here, that's fine. Let's just go home. That's great. Like, if you hate America, then leave. That's fine. We'll help you out the door. That's fine. And great. Or like this story of the trans woman who was arrested in Florida for using the wrong bathroom. And they make it sound like this was just a trans person minding their own business who needed to pee or something and was grabbed. Sorry, I know you hate that word. But this is a person who traveled from Illinois to Florida to break the bathroom law that Florida passed. This dude sent ahead his picture and a notice to all the lawmakers saying, I'm going to come to the Florida state capitol and break your bathroom law and come and go into the girls' bathroom. And when he got there and tried to do this and refused to get out of the women's bathroom, they arrested him. And now he has to go back to Florida for his court dates, and he's upset about it. But it's like, you caused the whole thing. Like, I don't understand. But they're telling themselves a story like Florida's just grabbing trans people off the street and shoving them into prison cells. Like, I'm sorry, dude. But
but the reason they're trying to do confirmation bias stuff like that is because their fundamental observation is wrong. It's wrong.
Yeah, the thing they think is happening keeps refusing to happen.
Right. And they think that they've gotten into the minds of Trump people or people on the right without ever bothering to actually get in their minds. No, they never do. They don't generally listen to talk radio. They don't generally listen to... They hate Rogan. They've never watched Rogan. So it's the same thing. Like when this guy, he's yelling at the guy in the car next to him, he's like, he told you this and you believed him, so I feel sad. take another step, take it a level deeper and think, maybe Trump told him stuff and this guy dismisses a lot of what Trump says. Like the stuff about the scorpion and the frog. Maybe we dismiss the Trump says the snake and the whatever that Trump gets into. Then when Trump gets into his Hannibal Lecter stuff, it's thrown away. Maybe it's a few basic things that Trump says. Maybe that's it.
And maybe
Trump seems to spend a lot of time driving his plane, flying his plane into a lot of places where a lot of hardworking people feel like they got the shaft. And maybe the fact that he even bothers to go there, or that he likes it, has fun with the crowd, speaks for a long time, gives him a full concert, and the fact that he was president once before. But no, they dismiss. They say, oh, Trump's saying this stuff that's lies, and Mexico's going to pay for the wall. So you see, he doesn't mean, it doesn't matter. You're missing it. People are getting something else from Trump. So don't drive around.
Which is why his approval rating stubbornly continues to be in the 40s, despite the fact that they think that he's incredibly unpopular because all the people around them hate Trump. They think that this is like a huge movement. And it's fascinating to me because, like you say, this is something that Democrats used to really understand about the forgotten man and woman and the Rust Belt and outsourcing, offshoring jobs and all this stuff and NAFTA. I mean, this is stuff Michael Moore used to talk about. This is stuff Bernie Sanders used to talk about. This was a left-wing proposition. Tariffs were a left-wing proposition. All of this was, right? And he went out to these people and he told them a story, essentially, right? He's talking to them as a narrative, and I think that J.D. Vance's story also fits into this narrative about the forgotten Midwest. I think to some extent it's a mythological narrative. I don't necessarily think that it's exactly true.
No, but let me tell you something else.
But I think that it's emblematic of the way that especially that group of people in the Rust Belt and in the Midwest and in Appalachia, if we're saying it that way or whatever, that group of people sees themselves and sees their story and understands their world. And Trump speaks to that in a way that the Democratic Party has started saying they're not going to do anymore.
Yes, but I think there's also, remember, and I think that we're guilty of this, and many conservatives who voted for Trump, who were once Bush guys like me, I'm in on this whole where you got to help Appalachia in the New Hampshire. All of the dead people from fentanyl in New Hampshire and other places that have been overlooked now in flyover country. I don't necessarily need to ever visit Appalachia or a lot of these places. I'm in on it largely because the pricks on the other side who are denigrating these people are pricks.
Right.
And it makes me want to, and they're saying, oh, look at these people in this Appalachia town. They're obviously racist and they hate the fact that that the corner store is now run by a brown person. It's like, F you freaking erudite a-holes.
If they were still voting for Democrats, of course, they'd be the noble, savage version of that, right?
Yes.
Where they're the working man and woman and all this stuff. And some people in the Democratic Party still know that, but some don't. Can you play the people that I sent us from the rallies talking this weekend of all the people protesting? And,
is this the Kafia one?
Yeah. Well, actually, I meant the ones that I sent us before that. The illegal immigrant queer person and whatever. But it is interesting because I think that one of the biggest things that I heard about all these rallies this weekend, and I did not go to any, is that everyone there was old.
Well, there was a lot of old people. There's no doubt about that.
And so they're reliving Woodstock, and they're reliving the Bush protests in the early 2000s. And to them, this is a familiar story. Evil, mean, fascist, racist, terrible Republicans are screwing things up, and they're rising up, and they're protesting, and they're this, and they're that. None of this has ever been effective once.
I don't see the fatty. I have the psycho with the long hair. Do you want him?
I did send us that. Let me find her again. I
saw it too earlier.
I sent it to us, but basically, it is interesting to me. Why don't you play the girl who was upset, the Gen Zer who was upset that it was all old people at the protest? While I find that girl again.
Okay. We also got to play Sam Harris at some point.
Because Because I think
Okay, this Gen Z is, by the way, fairly attractive young lady, I must say.
I'm at the protest right now in New York City, anti-Trump, anti-fascist protest, and I have one question. Where the fuck is Gen Z? These people are cheering, they're talking like it's just the 60s, it's just like the 60s, and they're having conversations and walking slowly. There's no fight here. There's no youth here. It's all 30-somethings and their children. And then seniors, and God bless everybody who showed up today, but I'm really fucking disappointed in the youth turnout. Where
Is that good for her? Or do you want to hear more?
there's a little more.
Or does it matter how you want to hear it?
Yeah, keep going
I'm
a
just
little
going
bit.
to cut these
is the youth turnout? This is your future that is going to be impacted by the actions of the Trump administration. And it's really this easy to show up in numbers and show your government that they're outnumbered. That is the point of a protest, to show that your government, that they are outnumbered. And if Trump leads you to believe that protesting does nothing, then this is what we get. We get a crowd of 30-somethings and their children and seniors, and barely any teenagers ever. Like, these, oh my God, I can't even. Like, where are you going if you're not going to the protest right now? What's more important?
What's more important?
I know.
That's my favorite part of that.
I do like her. She is hot. Too. But you know, if you're 20-something...
What's more important?
It is really interesting, because if you're 20-something, like, seeing people in their 30s with their kids is disgusting. You know, it is
like,
true.
Who are all these old people
Yeah.
with their kids?
But also...
But
like,
she's right. This
where is
an activity
where's
for-
the Kafia squad? Aren't we supposed to be hating Jews here?
Yeah,
Or is the channel switched?
Yeah, the channel switched. They're back at school. They have classes to study for and stuff.
Why aren't
They're
they out
doing
here?
stuff. This is an activity for suburbanites to do to show their neighbors. And I did see in the Melrose Facebook group some moms like planning to carpool down to the protests and stuff, because this is something for millennials to do, to virtue signal. And we had a little of that. Do you remember all the like pussy hat
Yes, of course.
protests immediately after Trump was elected last time? And like, we knew people who went down to them
Mm-hmm.
who were big like suburbanites who wanted to show their friends like, this is part of history, this is really important. And the boomers being like, oh my God, this is the 60s all over again, we're like really part of something here, guys. They're telling themselves this story where they're like fighting fascism, but this is not, there's not really, like this girl is saying, a resistance movement here.
No.
This is not people who are gonna like rise up and overthrow anything.
No. These are the what was the car before? This is a Prius crowd. They were down 20 years ago. They got the first round of Priuses.
Mm-hmm.
These are boomers. You're absolutely right about that.
And millennials, I think,
Yeah.
too. I think probably not so much Gen X, but I think...
why is she the only anti-Semite out there?
I don't know.
What do they do?
didn't
Like,
get
where's
the
the
memo.
rest?
They're
Like,
busy. They've lost interest.
Well, it's also, I think...
Maybe we're deporting some of them.
I also think that many of them also hate the Democratic Party now.
Yeah, I think
And-
that's possible, too.
And so there's all sorts of divergent worlds happening out there now. In a lot of these colleges, well, first of all, a lot of these colleges have put out memos, have cracked down and say we're not playing.
Well, yeah, because Trump came after
Exactly.
a bunch of
You're
their
not playing
funding.
anymore. And they were like, oh, I really, really can't go here if I do this thing. But, yeah, I don't know exactly what the behavior is. I do know that I think one of the factors is that a lot of these people are around Trump's age.
Mhm.
And so they're especially offended because it's from my generation is doing this. And I think it's especially gross. I've known some people who are especially angry at Trump because of this.
Mhm.
It is interesting. It is interesting. All these people who feel so bad for us and sad for us out there. I just don't know exactly, like, now what do they want? So this is hands off. This is so Elon
Hands
don't
off
touch.
what?
I think that's
But
Elon
I
stop
also
touching
heard people
government.
saying that, like, these were one of the first protests in a while that was, like, more focused back on Trump rather than Elon. And I think part of that is, like, Elon's going to be leaving soon.
Mm-hmm.
I think it also just hasn't been that effective, the focus on Elon.
Well,
Like,
this is
Trump's approval ratings haven't really suffered. By the way, Elon also has been very lukewarm on the tariffs. He hasn't
Yes.
said one thing positive about tariffs, and he's if anything, like advocated for free trade with Europe and stuff. So
Yes.
and he's obviously impacted by this tariff stuff because he does a lot of manufacturing in America, by the way. So it matters a lot to him. On the tariff note, like I do think it's interesting, and I do think we should switch to the Patreon soon before we talk about a bunch of the kind of manosphere and womanosphere stuff that we wanted to talk about too. But on the tariff note, I do think this is really interesting that this is happening like on the cusp of the age of AI, where I think AI is going to be as big as like the advent of the internet, or as big as the advent of like factories in the 19th century, right? I think we're going to see like big economic shifts. And I think that the tariffs, while the economic conventional wisdom has always been tariffs bad for quite a while. I mean, that's like pretty much the understanding. I think that the labor cost issue has been a huge reason why it's been so much cheaper to manufacture things overseas for so long. I think we're about to see the dawn of a new age where labor costs become a non-issue for the vast majority of manufacturing. So if these tariffs cause the United States to start to do a lot more manufacturing with a lot more automation, not necessarily that the factory jobs from pre-NAFTA are all going to like come back and we're going to raise a new generation of people who are going to like work on the assembly line. Like, I don't think that's going to happen. Right. I don't think that anybody thinks that's going to happen necessarily. I mean, I just don't think that's realistic. Like, do you think that's realistic? Do you think our friends' kids in this town are going to grow up and want to work on an assembly line in a factory?
No.
I mean, like, I don't think the world's coming back. The world is different. The salaries that Americans want to do stuff are different. I do think that if we get more into AI, sophisticated automation, robotics in ways that are rapidly becoming much, much cheaper. Elon Musk is doing some of this in some of his companies with these like humanoid robots and stuff, but there's an enormous amount of automation ready to hit the economy. And if we are able to do that in a way that can undercut like using Uyghurs to do this stuff, like, I mean, it's possible that this stuff could become cheaper than cheap labor. And in that case, you know, it can create jobs in the United States, extremely efficient, extremely high productivity jobs, right? Because all of this stuff makes any one individual's productivity so much higher.
Right. We should talk about how that's going to look in the Patreon.
Yeah, so let's head over to the Patreon. Do we have
Chat
messages?
Sure, obviously. Here we go. Oh, sorry.
The fake news is totally overreacting with the stock market because I don't think they understand that there are more people on Main Street than there is on Wall Street. And it's the people on Main Street that President Trump is looking out for. He put the tariffs in place in order to lower costs for Americans. He put the tariffs in place to create more jobs in America. Because what will happen is these people who are on Main Street, who don't have money to put into the stock market, will eventually have income to invest in the stock market. And the only way that can happen is with costs being lower, with jobs being created, and with people putting money back into their pockets that they don't have right now to invest. So it's just hilarious when you see all these people paid hundreds and thousands of dollars to give their fake news, make everyone panic, when the person that isn't panicked is President Trump. He knows what he's doing. He's trying to help more people get money to invest. And if these people would actually listen, learn, and understand what President Trump's trying to do, then they would realize that this is another example of President Trump making America great again.
I don't know. I guess we'll see. I mean, like I say, the conventional wisdom on the economics of tariffs has always been that they're not good.
Right.
I mean, primarily from conservatives, by the way. Like that's
Yes.
been the tariffs and stuff have been a liberal policy much more so than a conservative policy.
But
I
we'll
think-
see. I mean, also,
people who have money to put in the stock market. I don't know. A lot of people that are MAGA people have 401ks, I would say.
I think so. I don't even know. I know that the. I think. Well, here's what I think. I think first of all, the Wall Street loves Trump because they believe that in his heart, he's one of them. He grew up and lived down the street from them forever. He wants American business to do well, to thrive. He wants victories. I think he's in it. In the same way that the last guy, even though the stock market improved under Biden as well, obviously, it did not inspire confidence.
Well, right. And I think that part of what the feeling on the right has been is that much of what we've seen in Wall Street and the growth in Wall Street has been an illusion that has been built on the backs, to reference what Steve is saying, of working people who have not necessarily seen the benefits of these gains materialize for them personally.
Yes.
Right. And I think inflation has a lot to do with that. I don't know that the tariffs are going to lower costs. Tariffs, that's not one thing people generally argue about them, is that they lower costs. The argument is that they would bring jobs here. I think also like protecting an American supply chain and manufacturing is also an argument that definitely radicalized me during COVID, where China was turning back shipments of like 3M respiratory masks that are manufactured by 3M, an American company, but in China. And the government of China was saying, F you, we're keeping these. Right? Like, that was wild to me. And like where we, for example, manufacture a ton of our antibiotics in China, and in other countries, by the way, we actually do less manufacturing in China now than we maybe used to, because there's other countries with even cheaper labor. A lot of American companies manufacture things in other places now, like Vietnam.
But unfortunately, we're smacking them around too. I know Vietnam, I guess, has come into the fold, but
Right,
we don't want to drive these people to China because that's the fear.
But so the point is, I suppose that there are obviously economic arguments here. There are also national security arguments and longer term security arguments with things like for public health, like masks or antibiotics, that maybe we don't want to be at China's mercy. If all of a sudden China tomorrow said, we're going to stop sending you guys antibiotics, what would happen?
Yeah, not good.
I mean, like, so we should maybe manufacture some of this stuff in the United States, even if it's more costly.
Oh, totally. That's ridiculous that we haven't been. God. Alice, yes or no, is tomorrow Black Monday?
I don't think it's going to look up for stocks, maybe for a while. So
Is there going to be a crash tomorrow?
A crash?
Yes, that's what Black Monday is.
No, I understand. I mean, maybe. I don't think it's going to be a good day for stocks tomorrow.
All right. I'm going to say no, and by 4 prime meridian, you're going to see a interesting, reassuring recovery as more countries come to the table. All right, here we go.
I think maybe by the end of the week, things will have leveled off, depending what's going on in the news. But I think tomorrow's going to be a rough one. But I don't know. The Burn Barrel's not known for their stock market predictions, I suppose.
I just bought NVIDIA, I bought the dip, we call it, on the street.
I think it's going to go
Tom,
lower.
you might want to be careful showing Alice The Incredible Mr. Limpet, because there are songs in that film. She'll be singing them nonstop. Be careful what you wish. Wishes can come true.
Oh.
Actually, now I want to hear Alice sing that. Yeah, show it to her this weekend.
I have been singing aquatic musical songs this weekend.
That is true. Sing that one again.
No.
BFF.
No.
Oh, come on. I can just play you singing it. So you can do it now.
Things can't get any better. You're my best friend forever. BFF, that stands for us.
Oh, very lovely.
No, it's not great. But
yes, it is.
I don't like it.
I don't like that.
You make me mad.
Remember, I don't like that, LB?
You make me mad.
What's I don't like that?
We're not talking about that. I don't like that.
Hey, guys, we have a problem on our hands.
Uh-oh.
The word left reached out and feels quite jealous because the word right is said a lot in your show.
Ooh.
So I think it would be only natural if we all say the word left 5 times to, make the word left feel better about itself. So I'll begin. Left, 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 left. Hopefully this helps.
Thoughts, Alice? That's a shot at you,
I understand that it's a shot at me. Thank you. I just don't have that much to say about left.
I do use the word left more because I don't use the word liberals anymore. So it's progressives and lefties.
Left? We could talk about the Kirk Cameron Left Behind series.
Well, here's dismissing that obviously. Here's my worry is that does anybody use the word doggy bags anymore?
Don't they just say take home box?
Something like that. I missed doggy bags. Actually, there was a time when all that food went to the dog. Those red and white bags. I'm bringing back the doggy bags. I'll get us a doggy bag guest tomorrow.
Hi, Steve from Merrimack.
Hey, Steve.
That segment we were talking about the Carmelo Anthony stabbing the white kid.
Yes.
Over a seat at the track meet, and you read that Moonbat's response to Matt Walsh.
Yes.
And it came out that the deceased grabbed his backpack when he refused to leave his seat.
Yep.
And that the Moonbat wrote, "Well, I teach my kids not to touch anything that's not theirs."
Yes.
Excuse me. I believe Carmelo touched something that wasn't his. Namely, he took the seat that didn't belong to him.
Yes.
And when it was brought to his attention, he refused to leave. Somebody tried to make him leave, and his first response was to stab someone to death.
Mm-hmm.
That's fucked up. Okay? Thank you. Thank you to all the Moonbats for justifying every deviant behavior. Thank you.
They are literally, they've had to take down so many GoFundMes and stuff.
Isn't it amazing?
Because the liberals are really trying to make him a victim. Oh, those kids were known for bullying. Oh, he was defending himself.
Yeah.
Oh, if Kyle Rittenhouse is allowed to defend himself, why is he not allowed to defend himself? On and on and on. This kid had been previously suspended for bringing a knife to school.
Well, here's the other thing. I forgot what it was. 2 weeks ago, there was another. Oh yeah, it was a black kid had beat the tar out of a white kid, and the kid was unconscious. And was
There's
just kicking him.
A video of things like that,
right,
every other week, right?
Right, and I remember somebody in the comments say, did the other kid use the N-word?
Does that change it for you?
Yeah, it's not. There's no license to brain damage somebody or stab somebody in the heart. You're allowed to.
Right, if suppose these white kids in Texas, when they were telling the guy to get out of this seat and go away, where he wasn't supposed to be. Suppose they did use the N-word.
Mm-hmm.
Does that now change your view on it? Is he allowed to stab them? Because I know black people and liberal people who would say that yes, if you use the N-word, anything's justified.
Exactly. The same people who were applauding when somebody showed a poster of Luigi over this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Or saying, yeah, well, obviously, Luigi did a good thing. Of course, you have to shoot all the healthcare executives because they say no to things. Okay. And by the way, it doesn't just always break down around race. I remember a lot of people saying, "Yo, Will Smith was absolutely right. You don't make a joke about another man's wife." So Will Smith is allowed to go up there and slap Chris Rock because a comedian said a joke he doesn't like. Okay, so sometimes violence is allowed, absolutely.
For some people.
Yes.
Towards some other people. Just only under certain circumstances. So if you want to stay on here, you can. That is on the Patreon show. If you want to join, that's patreon.com/burnbarrel. Thank you so much to all the people who join our Patreon. We appreciate you so much. So you get to be in the live chat every day, and we do a little extra content like this each week. If you like listening for free, that's also great. We also appreciate you, burnbarrelpodcast.com.